Hey all, it's Dominic Weber again, one of the founders of Quit Smoking 24/7. And today is where the pedal really hits the metal. This is where if you do this stuff, you practice this habit every single day, you are going to see massive changes in your life. But you got to do it. That's it. So let's get started. So we said before that if you can take the affirmations and you can make them real, they'll actually have an effect. So how do we take these things right here and make them real? Well, let me ask you, would you like any of the following? Do you want to feel better all the time, lose weight, have more energy, stay relaxed and calm, and be able to control and de-stress at will? Well, then you're going to want this habit. Once you develop this habit, these things will be true affirmations. And it's called breathing. Yes, it's that simple. It's important to remember that I'm trying to condense hundreds of our lessons that we have inside of our program into a small session here. So I've broken it down into two parts, the whys of why breathing works, and then we'll talk about the how in the next session. Remember, you have these false beliefs. You think you know how things work. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing the scientific facts to the table. That is to say, I'm bringing the truth of what we know about breathing and why it works. So we have to go over these key points here before you can really get an understanding of why all this stuff is so important. Once you do, you'll no longer have those false beliefs. So here's a list of breathing techniques that you can go and study on your own. We're not going to go over them in these sessions because there's just too much to cover, but I've get them to you. There they are. So let's go over the first one, oxygen. I don't think I need to tell you too much about this. What you do know is that as a smoker, you don't take in enough oxygen. You know that you've damaged those parts of your body. It's not a big deal. You're going to learn how to fix it a lot quicker than if you were just to try to naturally do it on your own without these techniques. So you know that oxygen is the most important thing in the world. You can survive weeks without food. You can survive days without water, but you can only survive minutes without oxygen. It is the most important thing that we take into our body. It is the main catalyst in every single chemical reaction inside your body. If you want to burn calories, it's oxygen that's burning the calories. If you want your brain to work, it has to have oxygen in order to create neurotransmitter. It feeds our muscles and it detoxifies our body. So suffice to say, the more oxygen you have in the system, the better. So how do we go about pulling more oxygen into the system? And the answer is breathe through your nose. I know that sounds pretty simple, but it's actually quite an amazing thing. So here's the funny part. As a smoker, you become a habitual mouth breather, and it's actually really hard for you to breathe through your nose. Well, the more you do it, the better you will get. Just keep breathing through your nose. The reason this works so well is that you have three lobes to your lungs. You have an upper, middle, and lower. Turns out that you can only get oxygen into your lower lobes when you breathe through your nose, and that 66% of the oxygen intake in your body comes through your lower lobes. So you've been breathing with only 33% of the capacity by becoming a habitual mouth breather. Breathing through your nose also produces more nitric oxide, and this is called a miracle molecule because of all the amazing things it helps our body do. This was all discovered not too long ago. Only in 1998, some guys won the Nobel Prize for discovering all these things. Turns out when you exercise, you tend to try to breathe more through your mouth. There is no increase in nitric oxide when you breathe through your mouth, but they found that by breathing through your nose when you're increasing in exercise, you actually increase the amount of nitric oxide. So the takeaway from all this is breathe through your nose. So the key to making these affirmations real is simple. It's just breathing through your nose. It's going to pull more oxygen, create nitric oxide, and it's going to do some other things. So I want you for the rest of this video to continue to breathe deeply through your nose. We got about 3 minutes left, and you tell me by the end of this video, incorporating the stuff you've just learned and the stuff afterward, how do you feel? Added to nose breathing, you should incorporate what we call belly breathing. And technically, O2 isn't really getting into your belly. Rather, what's happening is that your diaphragm is contracting, allowing your lower lobes to expand outward and pull in all of that extra air. And it looks like your belly is getting bigger, but it's not. It's important to really flex your abs inward and exhale at the same time, and that's why you see these pictures of Arnold here. He's not sucking it in. He's actually exhaling all the air out of himself, and that's causing what you see in these pictures. Anecdotally, Tim Ferriss wrote a book called The 4-Hour Body, and in that book, he talks about how you can get a six-pack by pulling your abs inward and flexing them rather than trying to push them outward. I've actually seen my stomach flatten down by doing these inward crunches all day long and consciously breathing, so it works. So now you're going to be nose breathing and you're going to be belly breathing, and now you want to slow your breathing down. This one, again, is a really confusing subject, and we have a ton of information inside our program on it. But if you want to learn more, look up hypocapnia and the Bohr effect to learn exactly what's going on. Essentially, it works like this. Your body is in a constant balance between the amount of CO2 in the system and the amount of O2 in the system. When you reduce the amount of CO2, the arteries and the arterioles contract and they don't take in oxygen. So the result is that even though you have oxygen inside your bloodstream, your muscles aren't getting that oxygen through their bloodstream. So simply by slowing down your breathing, you leave more CO2 in your system, and this means you can actually process that oxygen. Anecdotally, we can look at it this way. Let's say we asked a smoker to run for 10 minutes. At the end of 10 minutes, they are huffing and puffing and gasping for air, right? They're gasping for oxygen. Now let's ask a marathon runner to do the exact same thing. At the end of 10 minutes, they're still breathing nice, calmly, and slowly because they've trained their body how to utilize the CO2 in the system to use that oxygen, and they can keep going for a much longer amount of time. Lastly, if you want to learn more, you can go check out Dr. John Douillard's website, lifespa.com. Dr. Douillard has done massive amounts of research on this subject and gives you some really practical exercises you can do. Furthermore, he's written several books, including one called Mind, Body, Sport. And this book is really cool because he talks about how you can actually cut down the amount of exercise you're doing and gain better benefits. You can work out for as little as 12 minutes a day and get the same effect as people working out for an hour. I've been doing it for a while. It's awesome. I love it. And I suggest you check that out. If you do follow our program and get into our program, we actually go into some of these exercise techniques as well. Finally, here's some of his website addresses that you can check out more of that information. And of course, from this, you can get to his YouTube channel, which actually has a ton of videos on the subject as well. Breathe deeply through your nose, create that nitric oxide, pull it into your belly, push it out with your abs, really flexing them inward. And you are learning how to de-stress, you are learning how to gain energy, you are learning how to control your weight, and you're learning how to relax. So these affirmations that you're saying every day, they're now true. They're 100% true. Just keep breathing and you'll get better. Join me next session where we'll learn about Ujjayi, the one most particular type of breathing technique that's best for smokers. See you then. Bye.